Hi everyone, and welcome back to Art with Mrs. S. Today we're going to be creating a cityscape using cut paper. So you're going to need a large piece of paper to glue on. I have black today. And then you're going to want 2 or 3 other colors. And I kind of kept mine the same so you'll be able to see kind of the depth that I'm creating. There's a light purple, a dark purple, and then there's kind of like this reddish pinkish purple too that I'm going to be using. And then you'll need something to draw with. Black marker works great for this project, or you could use something like a pencil to draw with if you're not as confident in your art yet. And you're going to want glue and scissors. We're going to start out today by drawing. So I'm going to pick one of my colored pieces of paper, and I'm going to be drawing buildings. So if you've ever drawn buildings before, kind of in the shadow or silhouette, a lot of them are going to be more rectangular. Some are going to come up taller, and they kind of have this Lego appearance. I'm keeping in mind that I have to cut this out. So if I have that little detail there, I need to make it large enough that when I go to cut this out, I don't accidentally chomp it off. I can go down more. I can make skinnier buildings. I can make great big tall skyscrapers. There's going to be some buildings that have multiple levels and then kind of taper off. Once I get from the left side to the right side of my drawing, I'm going to set that off to the side, grab another one of my sheets, my scrap sheets. This is purple, my dark purple, and I'm going to do the same thing. Maybe this time I'll start lower. I can go up, create that tall skyscraper, back down. Some of these could go rounded. I would leave details like flags and antennas off and then draw those back on later. Kind of up to you though. I don't have to have a lot. This one only had 3 buildings in it. The less cutting I have to do. I'll take my last piece here and do the same thing, starting on the left hand side, creating a lot of those horizontal and vertical marks. I can even come up to a triangular kind of sharp point. This one's really short, so I can kind of go back up and over. Go really deep down this time. A short flat building. You change these, you make them unique to you. Just always keep in mind you have to cut it out, so don't make it too hard on yourself. So keep it simple, keep those details big, and don't add anything like windows. Do not add anything like those flags, those antennas. You'll just frustrate yourself. Keep it simple, keep it plain. There's nothing on here yet. When you're done drawing those 3, you're going to get your scissors. I always recommend the blunt tip scissors. Always point away from yourself. And I do a thumb in the small part and a peace finger in the next. It doesn't matter which one you get started on. But as I cut these out, I want to try to leave this bottom part all in one piece. If you accidentally cut something off, save it, don't get frustrated, and we'll glue it back together later. I'm actually just going to go right along that line that I drew for my sake, but you could take off some of these bigger pieces if they start getting really hard to navigate and cut around. I'm turning my paper and my scissors and kind of maneuvering my hand so that I'm always cutting away from myself. You can see here too, I'm kind of cutting towards my other hand. You got to be really careful. I'm not ripping or tearing or being rough with this paper because it could just fall right off. No really quick motions or movements. Keep going all the way across. What's nice with these too, if you don't like the one side that you drew, sometimes the negative or the reverse of that looks really neat too. I'm going to keep going all the way across until I have my one complete piece. So you can kind of see it's all connected. These are all going to be a series of buildings on the horizon. And I wanted to kind of show, this is the other side, so if this got into many pieces, that's okay. But you can use this for your buildings too if you really wanted to. So I'm going to set that scrap to the side. I'm going to save it just in case I need it. And I'm going to start kind of figuring out where I want these. They should line up on the bottom of the wider or longer side of this paper. And I'm going to keep going. I'm going to cut out these other two. And I already have some here for me, so I have kind of 3 different shades or colors when I'm done. And I need to kind of start organizing these. I wouldn't want to glue it like this because I can't see all my buildings. So I'm going to put the piece that was my biggest towards the back. And then in the foreground, those that are closer to me, it's up to you. The only one that needs to be perfectly aligned at the bottom is the top one. So I'm just kind of arranging these, figuring out which color is going to go in the front and which ones are going to go towards the back. I can also flip and reverse these if it doesn't line up how I like it. Find what works for you and find what you like. Sometimes you'll get like this where these really overlap. That's not a big deal, but if you wanted to kind of cheat, you can go back and you could shorten a building or make a building taller if you need to make it work in your art. So I'm going to pick these back up and we're going to glue these down. If I want to glue this piece, I'm not going to glue this top side. I need to glue the other. So I'm going to flip it over, take the lid off my glue, turn it up until it's a fingernail length high, and then just go around the outside of your pieces. You don't need to fill the whole thing, but you want to get up to the edge, even in those little corners and in those little points. Flip it, line it up at the bottom, and press. We're not hitting our art. I'm going to just flip it, squash. If it helps to hold it for a couple seconds, you can do that. I'm going to flip over the piece that kind of goes in the middle next. And this is going to be pretty well covered in glue because it's a lot skinnier. Flip it over. Before I squash it down, I want to try to line it up the best I can where I had it. I'm going to squash all those parts down. I'll show you how to do a bendy test in just a little bit here so that you can kind of see what happens when I don't get an edge or don't get it glued quite right. Turning a little more glue up, getting in all those little parts, all the way at the bottom, all the way up to the corners and the edges, and then I can flip it over one last time and squash or stick. If you do have those pieces that stick up in that bendy test, I'll show you how to fix those. If you got off-centered a little bit, just take those scissors and chop it off and smooth it out. Fix it. I always do an upside-downy test. I flip it over. And a bendy test is just kind of doing like a little wave with your art. If you have little edges or corners that pop up or fold upwards, put a little glue under there. Hold 1, 2, 3, and then we know that your art's going to stay in one piece. It's not going to fall off. It's not going to stick to someone else's art. When you're all done with your glue, put your lid back on. And I'm going to want to make sure I have my marker handy, whatever you chose to draw with. And then this front one, it's called the foreground. Whichever color you put towards the front, and mine or on top, is this kind of pinkish purple. Now is when I can go in. I can draw in a couple details. Maybe I want to draw in some windows. Maybe I want to take like a white or yellow crayon in the background. I could have things like even people if I really wanted to. If you don't want to use black, you could use white crayon, works really nice. You can add in larger details, larger windows in these areas. Still taking your time, making sure all those nice details are in there. I don't need to worry about the ones in the back. I want those to look like they're getting further and further away, so maybe I can't quite see those details. I come back, I can add in a little flag if I wanted to. I can add in an antenna. All those are in this front one here, the foreground. I can add in details on the building, bricks, ladders, fire escapes, all those things. When you're done, don't forget to put your name for your title on your art. If you're in person, make sure you put it maybe on the back with white crayon, or you can use a pencil. I can see it if you turn your paper. Hopefully you had fun today. I can't wait to see all of your amazing cityscapes. Have a great day.